On this episode of Shaking My Head, Brendan Carlo turns the other cheek.
And that hit Carlo in the back.
Shane Gostisbehere gets his nose dirty with blood. And the Leafs.
And some debris gets tossed onto the ice.
All that and more on this episode of Go! Hello and welcome to SMH, the biggest misplays and bloopers show across the entire internet. I'm your host, Tom Stewart. Let's get after it. Now here at SMH, we don't want to tell you how to live your life. If you want to go ahead and throw a no-look behind the back spin pass in the middle of the ice to absolutely no one, that's your own prerogative. But the rule in this house is if you do that, you back check with some f***ing intention.
Ekman Larson around. Here's Marner on this right side, swinging out to center, unable to connect, and Reinhardt back in with Boqvist in front and scores just for Boqvist, and it's 3-0 Florida.
Well, this place is about as quiet as it could possibly be. A turnover in the neutral zone. As again, you've been under pressure, under duress. So a no-look backhand pass that creates three guys trapped in the middle. And how about the patience of Bennett there? Just waiting and waiting. And he goes Reinhardt there. He's looking, surveying. What's the option? Boqvist gets his opportunity to go up with the top line with Rodriguez out. And you tape-to-tape pass underneath the toe of Joseph Wall. And just like that, it's a 3-0 game.
Now, we all know the tact of Brad Marchand. He's going to spend the next 4 to 7 games doing everything he possibly can to get under the skin of the Carolina Hurricanes. Their job, don't let him do it. It's critical that they don't fall into it. Stay away from the nonsense. Be above it. What's up?
Gostisbehere wants to dump it in and off the stick of Marchand. Marchand goes after Gostisbehere and drops the gloves. Brad Marchand upset with Shane Gostisbehere, and he went right after him.
I think he caught Marchand with one, a real stiff one too. I'm not sure if he thought Gostisbehere shot the puck at him. And then right here, he just fires this right at him. I don't think there's any doubt that's what he did, and he got the attention of Marchand right away. Look at him turn, and he rips this thing, and you can see Marchand going, I don't think so. And then watch here as they get going. Marchand throws a couple here, and then as they get up, bang, right there. He catches him with a solid right that kind of staggers him. And I don't think he ever gets kind of his bearings around again. And Gostisbehere never drops his gloves. I mean, he's punching him with his gloves on. There's the hit that started it all. And as Marchand cruises up ice, he comes back in and there. I'd have to say, looking at that, it looks like he turned and shot it at him. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. You could try to sell it as your ice in the puck, but... And Marchand's going to get an extra here, and you can tell how upset he is.
Well, he might get the instigator here.
You guys remember those old Under Armour commercials? We must protect this house!
Will you protect this house?
Probably not, eh? Because you're all 11. But don't worry, you're not alone. Because the Hurricanes didn't remember it either.
Tkachuk out front for Reinhardt. Back for Tkachuk. Off to Barkov. Tkachuk again to Barkov. Barkov in front of the net. Scores! Carter Verhaeghe on the backhand. Over the shoulder of Anderson and in. And Florida's got the first goal of the series.
And what a beautiful goal as Verhaeghe just silences this crowd here in Carolina and get it to the hands of number 16, Barkov. Such a smart, intelligent player. A little pitching catch with Tkachuk. He waits for the player to come up, and then he lays it right into Verhaeghe's forehand. Now remember, Verhaeghe's got his back, and he's got the stick away from Jarvis, but he's on his backhand, but he's okay with that. And he puts this thing upstairs, straight upstairs over the left shoulder of Anderson.
You know, some of my favorite quotes come from the Stoics, like Seneca, who said, we suffer more in imagination than we do in reality. Or Marcus Aurelius, who said the soul takes on the color of your thoughts. But I think my favorite of them all is by Stoic/goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky, who I believe said in this next clip, I'm not getting involved in that shit.
Up high, speed in play, Lorentz. Domi, centers, Robertson scores. Shutout is broken. And Nick Robertson, from a scratch to a goal scorer once again.
Now you got more activity, a pileup. Robertson's lost his helmet. Bobrovsky making sure he's out of harm's way. How about Nick Robertson? The last 14 games he has come back in the last 2 years after being scratched. That's now his 9th goal and 12th point. A meaningless one, but if nothing else, you finally get to Sergei Bobrovsky as he's standing in the corner reflecting on that. Bobrovsky made some great saves and all kinds of traffic in front. A little spin around by Robertson, though, able to beat him to the glove side. Look at as the teammates, they know you let them down, right? Pressure came and back-to-back shifts in the offensive zone for the Leafs. A bouncing puck. Robertson gets himself to the front of the net. Just a little cycle, Domi back, and through the legs of Verhaeghe. Past Bobrovsky's path.
First playoff goal for Nick Robertson since the bubble, and his first NHL goal against the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Bobrovsky comes 66 seconds away from being the first Panther goaltender in their history to record back-to-back shutouts. Robert Leonard, the last netminder with back-to-back Stanley Cup playoff shutouts back in 2020.
Another season, another disappointing result for the Toronto Maple Leafs and their fans. Yeah, we all had really high expectations and hopes after Game 6. It's too bad they made such an ass of themselves in Game 7, huh? And I think that's what makes this next clip a little too on the nose and perhaps a little prophetic as well.
Off the drop, off the skate to Marner. Swung back in on the backhand by Ekblad. A centering play here in front for Verhaeghe. And that hit Carlo in the back with an open net.
He gets knocked down, he's turned there, and Verhaeghe has to control for a second right in the rear end. Couldn't have a better place to be. He knew he was in a vulnerable spot, ends up making the save without even looking at it. And you know, you got 26-46 left in this game, and you know, if you're the Maple Leafs, you just got to shut the door and try to get something positive. But you could tell this Florida team, Chris, has not backed off the pedal at all. They continue to pressure at every turn.
Now, when it comes to the playoffs, especially the later rounds, it's very important for a coaching staff to keep the message simple, concise, to the point. You don't want to confuse these guys, give them too much to think about, right? Hey, coach, I really want to impact the result. All right, keep it simple. Get your head in the game. Now, it would appear that Shane Gostisbehere took that advice far too literally.
Taylor Hall, rink wide for Gostisbehere. That hit traffic out in front, and it gets played ahead to McMichael from Roy. Coming across the play at Walker. He couldn't get it in. Now McMichael speeding in on a breakaway, scores! Carter McMichael makes it 1-0 Washington.
Capitals have the first goal of the lead, of the game rather, and it's off a turnover, a busted play in the middle of the ice, and Carter McMichael, who had a career year this year, takes this puck. It hits Gostisbehere in the throat. Sean Walker was clearing the puck out. Gostisbehere was hit in the throat area. Oh man, that's a beautiful delivery of the puck by McMichael, top shelf. Gostisbehere's getting looked at the bench here.
Webster's dictionary defines a fan as a person who has a strong interest in or admiration for a particular person or thing. So I get confused when people label the folks in this next clip as fans. I'm not really sensing a whole lot of admiration here. I think a more apt category for these folks would be disgruntled, overpaying patrons.
Chris, it's not like they sit back and defend. I think that's probably the most evident thing of this game, is they continue to be aggressive.
Scores! And they continue to score.
Oh boy.
Sam Reinhart. And it's a 4-goal lead with just over 10 minutes to go.
And this is about assignments, right? You face off, everybody's got a plan, everybody knows their responsibility. Watch how late getting there, it's just a shot right through the legs and past McCabe. Tavares not able to get that Barkov, and it's just the speed of Reinhart. 2 quick strides that able to get to that puck first. No hesitation, he throws it up and over the shoulder of Joseph Woll.
We haven't talked about face-offs, and Florida's had the best of that tonight, and a face-off goal sends fans to the exits here as was the case 4 nights ago. And some debris gets tossed onto the ice as the fan frustration builds here at Scotiabank Arena.
Just a quick side note before we move on. Anyone who can afford to throw a full $25 Molson from the 100s in Game 7 of a playoff game in Toronto shouldn't be allowed to complain about anything, okay? Homeowner, why don't you go home and count your money? Leave the complaining to us folks outside in the square, okay? You enjoy that central air, accessible toilets? Shut up, you pricks. Well, just like that, we've come to the end of another incredible episode. Thank you so much for joining us. And congratulations to last week's trivia winner, Critical Mind 5877. Nope. And congratulations to keep saying it and it's not right. Critical Mind 57. Why can't I just, it's 57, just say it. Keep this in, Albert. I want to see everyone show me, I want everyone to see how much I suffered for this show, bro. And congratulations to last week. No, give me a second here. I've got it wrong every time. 5788. And congratulations to last week's trivia winner, Critical Mind 57. I have it written down and I still said it wrong. Congratulations to last week's trivia winner, Critical Mind 5788, who correctly answered Mark Messier as the only player to captain 2 NHL franchises to Stanley Cup championships. For this week's trivia, I pose you this question, viewer. Which NHL goalie currently sits in the top 10 scoring amongst all Danish-born players? If you think you know the answer, drop it in the comments down below to be potentially featured on next week's episode. Until then, I'm Tom Stewart. You keep that head a shaking. Don't ever stop. Ever.